Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us back here at the Howl of Bites Secret Studio, where all the secrets happen and all the wonderness, if there is such a wanderlust. How about that wanderlust thing? I'd like to talk about that sometime. Anyway, we've got a show for you today. Steve will be leading this show, and I'll let Steve explain about what the show is about. And that's the story. So I will be listening, ready to give comments. And if you have any comments that you'd like to add or bring to the show, our number on the air right now is 480-389-6020. So that's 480-389-6020. Like Barbara Walters used to say, 2020. Okay, so 60-20 if you're interested. And so, Steve, without letting any grass grow under your feet, can you take her and bring her to fruition for us? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Dennis, thanks for having me back on the show. Today is a really important one. I'm going to say it's mostly important for the ladies. This is going to be a little more serious. Dennis and I are just a couple of regular guys, a couple of cops, one retired Chicago cop, one current Illinois police officer. And we want to impart some knowledge on a subject that's really, really important. And so you're really going to want to listen. We're going to talk about date rape drugs. This is not a joking matter today. This is a very serious thing that still occurs in the police world. It's either called rape or criminal sexual assault. It is entirely underreported. Many times it is not reported at all. And the type of rape that occurs using these date rape drugs is especially not reported. And so this is a really important show. I'm going to give an overview on drugs, date rape drug facts. We're going to talk how they affect the body. And of course, we're going to talk about how to prevent this from happening entirely. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right into it. This is a serious subject. So thank you. Date rape drugs, everyone's heard something about them. It's in popular media, and there's been a lot of talk about it for years. All women, to some degree, know about them, but I think they're undereducated about it. We want to make sure they're protected because we care about you ladies. This show is about dating and online dating and over 50, and this does occur. So please do listen up here. Date rape drugs, one misconception I'm going to clear up right from the beginning. Out in the real world, there is no one date rape drug. There is not just 2 or 3 date rape drugs. Any drug that is any sort of tranquilizer, barbiturate, sleeping pill, and even alcohol is a date rape drug. They are often used in combination. In the old days, all you really heard about was GHB and roofies. GHB is also referred to as liquid ecstasy. Roofies is Rohypnol. And it's from a family of drugs that are really, they not only make you sleepy or tired or pass out, but you lose your memory. And that is really a really dangerous thing. But I'm going to expand our minds here a little bit today. It's not the old days. The world has changed a little bit. And so when I think of date rape drugs now and what we see in the real world, given what we've done and given the things that we see in the real world, I want you ladies to think of date rape drugs as the following. First of all, alcohol. Don't forget about alcohol. Alcohol is a depressant. It will make you go to sleep. If you're not in a situation where you are comfortable with the man and you can fully trust him, you should be careful about your alcohol consumption. So that's an obvious one, but really watch out for punch bowls and common things. We're going to come back to how to prevent a little bit later. But when we think about alcohol and punch bowls, we think of college campuses and frat parties and that sort of thing. You really got to watch out. It doesn't just happen there. It could be larger parties, weddings, whatever. So alcohol, GHB, like I said, which is also called liquid ecstasy, roofies, Rohypnol. There's another drug in the GHB family that's GBL. That's kind of a subset of it. Ketamine, which is also called Special K out on the street. That also can be used as a date rape drug. Prescription drugs. I really want to zoom in on this. Dennis, one of the things that's really changed in America in even just 20 years is that anxiety and depression is at epidemic levels here in our first world country where we have more than anywhere else.
Sure.
And I'm not judging that. To be honest with you, I've been there. I understand we go through things in life. I'm going to be real honest on this show. However, what that means, Dennis, is out in all these medicine cabinets, there are a whole lot of prescription drugs now that are date rape drugs. So tranks, general tranks that are used for anxiety. This is going to be anything in the benzo family, okay? Lorazepam, Xanax, a lot of those drugs, just to make it simple for you, that end in a PAM, PAM, typically those are benzo drugs. And they're used for anti-anxiety. Any idiot can take those and grind them up the dosage, do a couple of them, whatever, get them in a drink, get them in food, and that is completely illegal to do, and that is going to allow you to be in a situation that is not only going to have you sexually assaulted, it's just dangerous. And then, of course, the other one that's out there that falls more in the club drug category that ladies need to be aware of is MDMA. It's commonly known, that's a little more of a, ecstasy. That's more of a 80s and beyond type of drug, 90s drug, club drug, raves, neon lights, parties. Hey, someone's going to give you something that you think is a little enhancer for your fun. And I'm here to tell you it's just downright dangerous. And then there's our old friend marijuana. Marijuana has gotten legalized medically and recreationally in many states. There's a lot of debate about its addiction. We've seen people get addicted to marijuana, whether or not it's a step-up drug. I'm not going to debate any of that. But here's the thing, Dennis. Back in the day, and I'm going to say this a little bit more back in your day, a lot of the weed that was out there was this Mexican ditchweed. It was pretty innocuous. The THC content was not that high. The weed that is out there now is very high content THC. It used to be called BC Bud. It used to be kind of a specialty. BC Bud and that high THC weed now is very, very common. So I don't want to scare people, and I'm not trying to be the moral majority here, but when you need to know what these drugs are, and that some of them that are very commonly used and are now prescribed, this is a different world than 10 or 20 years ago. These drugs that are now commonly prescribed are now date rape drugs. Be aware, sleeping pills, again, the anti-anxiety pills, but the more common ones as well. And here's the thing, do you need to memorize what these drugs are? You do not. And I'm not even going to bother telling you what exactly to look for, because everything I just described can be in liquid form, powder form, some are odorless, some can be added to a drink and not change the color. We'll come back to a little bit how to prevent, about watching for changing color and smell. But don't memorize everything about these. We're going to talk about prevention, but that's my overview, my brief overview about date rape drugs. And I want to move next into how they affect the body. So Dennis, if you don't mind, I'm going to tee that up a little bit, but I know you have a lot of street experience. So I'll tee that up, and then I'm going to switch it over to you to talk a little bit about how the drugs can affect the body. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. So how do date rape drugs affect the body? It's going to seem obvious, but maybe not to everybody. I'm going to rattle through them. Okay, you can become dizzy, slurred speech, ineffective speech. You can feel nauseous. It's not just that you're going to pass out. You can feel nauseous. That could be a sign. You could have a very slow heartbeat all of a sudden. All of a sudden, you could start you can just feel everything slowing down. You're feeling really chill, and it's a quick onset. That should be your sign. That's not going to happen from having a drink and then another drink and have it spaced out. Feeling sleepy, being confused, cognitive abilities. Why all of a sudden I'm getting confused? Something changed, and it's a relatively quick onset. Trouble breathing or slowed deep breathing, okay? And of course, passing out. But the thing that distinguishes date rape drugs and tranks and some of the things I just described from some of those drugs, you're also going to get loss of memory. Now, the problem with that is you're not going to know that until tomorrow. You're not going to know it's still too late. You're not going to know until you're raped. I'm sorry to be blunt about this. You are not going to know until you're raped. And so when you start seeing these signs, caution, and we're going to talk about, what to do at the end of the show, but you need to get help immediately. Before we get too far into that, about how they affect the body, just one last thing. What to notice isn't always the drug effect. It's also, did you notice, do you come back to consciousness and your clothing's a little ripped? Is there a button torn? Is your clothing disheveled? Is something wrong about how you're dressed or made up? Maybe you passed out and you don't even know it. Does your body feel like it had sex, to be blunt? Are there stains? So sometimes we're talking about the effect of the drug. We also got to watch out for what may have just happened. But Dennis, I do want to switch it to you. You've got a lot of street experience. You've seen a lot of stuff. what are some of the signs that you've seen or heard about on how these date rape drugs can affect the body and the lady while it's going on?
Well, I think what I want to do is I want to bring up possibly maybe a little bit of the prevention and maybe the after choices you could make if you feel you become a victim of some sort of substance that may have been placed in either your drink or your food. So I think what I'd like to share is always keep two things next to your body when you're out clubbing and you're out partying, whatever you're doing. And those two things are your drink and your phone. Now, then reasons why the drink, obviously. And for the ladies out there, I would really, really strongly suggest that you stay away from mixed drinks, even though they're more popular and probably maybe a little easier on weight gain than a beer is. But a beer is a lot more easy to negotiate in a secure sense because you can keep it close to you and you can almost put your thumb on the top as long as you don't jack it up too much and you're blowing, she's hitting you like a champagne bottle, So I think that when you're out partying, you're out clubbing, keep it to beer. If you got to drink a light beer, whatever it is, if you feel like you got to have a cocktail, try to go for a beer. Okay, so keep that close to you. Keep your hand around the top of that spot, not spout, but the opening of the bottle. Okay, number 2, that phone. That's your ticket. Okay, because I know I can speak for the Apple side. I can't give you the Samsung side, the Android. But I can tell you that if you have your phone and you press the button on the right and the button on the left, which is the volume, the up and down volume buttons, either one of them, and the power button at the same time, you're going to get a 911 SOS that's going to come up. And you really don't have to do much more than that to just swipe that little button over, and that will start the process. That's one thing you can do. If you notice that, you had 1 or 2 beers, but you don't normally feel like this. And you know what? I'll tell you, if you're worried about, you don't want to be a cry wolf, you don't want to launch a false alarm, hey, do it, okay? Because if it isn't that kind of condition, maybe you've got a medical condition that's hitting. You could be in a process of having a stroke or a heart attack. That can happen at any age. So use that. Make that your friend. Keep that real close. Don't let anyone hold your phone. Hold my phone while I go out and dance. Stick it in your bra, wherever you have to put this baby. But just keep it with you. And above all, that drink, too. So, and I'm sure, again, as I said, the Android most likely has a similar function. If you start to feel yourself being compromised mentally, physically, and you need to, I believe, you need to convey that concern to either a waitress, a bartender, maybe even security. If you can get yourself to a security person there and just tell them, I don't feel right. I think somebody may have put something in my drink. Okay, get that ball rolling because they're not going to want the liability of not doing anything about it after someone comes to them and voices a concern that they may have been compromised or a victim of a crime, of a battery, and that is a battery. Okay.
Any port in a storm, right? If there's a problem,
right.
the closest staff member, a bartender, any port in a storm, for sure.
Yeah. So I can actually speak a little bit on the prevention side of it, and in terms as you were explaining all the different levels of the narcotics and how they hit you, and I can't speak too much to that part of it, but you, and your homeostasis, where home base is, and when you feel different, and you're out in that atmosphere. Probably a good indicator that maybe you want to pay a little bit more close attention to how you're feeling. And if you've got friends, or if not, make a friend, but make it someone that isn't some patron. Okay, because you can't rely on them because a lot of times they don't want to get involved. So put it on someone that's an employee, and there's more culpability there. And I think you'll maybe come out of this a little bit more unscathed than if you just, mention it to a girl you've been, throwing shots back and forth or doing, as they say, blowjobs. I've never seen that in progress, but, when they're doing shots and stuff. So it's a serious subject, and I don't mean to make light of it, but I just thought I had to get a smile or something because you're looking a little stoic there on me, my brother. So, but it's a serious, serious situation. It is in a subject. It is. So.
Those are some good tips. I mean, so ladies, what you heard, travel in packs, have someone you trust, know where the staff is, bring your drink to the bathroom, cover your drink. I'm glad you brought up about the beer bottle. I think I totally agree. A beer bottle is far more safe, small opening. Keep it with you, Don't even make a question about it. Don't make an issue about it. Just
take it to the bathroom with you. When you go to the bathroom, make it go with you. Take it with you. You can always, bash somebody in the head if they give you trouble in the bathroom too. It's a good weapon if you have to.
And Dennis, you made another good point. It's just, this is going to be a little more generally about policing. I'm really glad you brought up about calling 911. And by the way, Android has the exact same function. You could set it up where you hit the right button 3 times. It will not only call 911, it'll notify a couple people you set up. And bear in mind, ladies, you call 911 these days and you leave that line open. You don't even have to say anything. If you are in trouble, you call 911. Yes. The PSAP, the 911 center will get that. They will have an open line. We as police officers will treat that as a very serious thing. I do not, look at me when I say this, ladies. We expect calls for service. Please do not ever be embarrassed about contacting us, whether it's this or a domestic situation. This is what we do. This is what we live to do. Leave a phone line open. As you know, calls can be tracked at this point. If there's a public service emergency, that call can actually be located. It's better than triangulation now, even with the GPS chip. So if there is an open line, that 911 center, not the actual individual police officer, will be able to locate your phone. You need to do that. You need to not hesitate, and you need to not worry about, I'm burdening or I'm embarrassed. This is what we do. Let us do what we do. And Dennis, I think the last thing is these drugs come out of the sad thing is the drugs come out of the body pretty fast. Some of them as quick as 12 hours. So ladies, you really, if you think something happened, you also please consider reporting it and do it quick because some of them take 3 days to come out of the system. Some of them are out in 12 hours or even shorter. So you need to first make sure you're medically safe. If you medically make it safe through one of these situations, but you think you have it, and I'm sorry to be blunt, but you feel it, in your vulva, you feel it in your body, you feel like you've had sex, there's stains, clothing's disheveled, I would encourage you to, as quickly as you can, call 911, get that reported so you can, things need to be done to be able to go after these guys. We want you to be safe. And Dennis, I'm going to let you close it out, but I just want to close it by saying it is a serious subject. We want you to be safe. Be educated and don't be afraid to get staff involved and get 911 involved. We want you to be safe in this dating world. It doesn't matter what your age is. So Dennis, I'm going to send back to you. And again, thank you for letting me be on the show.
I think, of course, you're always welcome here, Steve. And I thank you for a great presentation. I think 2 things that I'd like to add is that because there are cameras now all over, so the chances of the cameras picking up someone tampering with your drink or tampering with you possibly in that kind of a venue, a club or wherever you might be when this happens, are a little bit greater. They're not foolproof, of course, but something else you got to consider is a lot of these people will buy these drugs on the street. So if they unfortunately get a hold of some bad fentanyl, okay, you're moving forward and you're hitting the 911 on your phone could actually be not only saving you from date rape, it could be saving your life. Because if you got a bad dose or you got a hot dose or you got some actor drug that is really not the McCoy, but it's something somebody put together on the street, you could be on your way to death. Okay, so don't take this stuff lightly. All right, this is important stuff. You're out there, you're alone, you're a woman. I think that you really need to have a fail-safe. You have to have something in place. Like if anything happens and I'm suspicious, this is what I'm going to do. So rehearse it in your mind as often as you have to. Okay. And just always rehearse in your mind also the 3 words, I love myself. And because at that point, you're the only one you have. You're the only one you got. So hope you take the things that we talked about today, take them to heart, put them in an inventory in a data bank in your brain somewhere. But rehearse them, use them, and come back, join us. We always got something good. We're either torturing each other or maybe torturing you as part of the audience. And I know we're laying low on the 11 eddies. But anyway, it was a great show. Thank you, Steve. Great subject, great resources, and great homework. And look for us again. Have a great day, a great evening, or a great night, whenever you're watching us. And we'll look for you soon. Thanks. Thanks, Steve.